Good afternoon, HOLA members and Freddie Mac community. Welcome to the first event we have planned for you to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Despite all the challenges and hurdles that we have faced this year, we continue to strive to be the leader in the mortgage market industry. And in HOLA, we have also been very busy during this pandemic crisis, trying to engage our members and continue to provide opportunities for you to grow and advance in your career. Today, we are bringing you a panel of 4 Latino leaders who will share their stories and experiences and how they navigate the corporate life to position themselves to where they currently are in their careers. My name is Carolina Valderrama, and I am the lead of the Embrace Pillar within the HOLA organization, and I will moderate this panel. Let's start. Let's do an icebreaker here and ask this question to all panelists today. ¿Están listos?
Listos, listos.
Muy bien. Very well. So, unfortunately, many people try to hide their true identities in fear that they either won't be accepted in this society or that they will have obstacles to advancing their careers if they appear too ethnic. So let's start with you, Andres. How do you navigate the corporate life and still maintain your true Latin identity?
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. Okay, so Latin identity, I think, is something that everybody probably defines by themselves really what that means. But for me, one aspect of Latin identity is the value of relationships and equating relationships with team and family and togetherness and having that collegial relationship with others. So that is something that I learned growing up, having a close-knit family, discussing the good things and the bad. So that is something that I think in corporate life is important, is if you think of your team as part of your family, right? We spend most of our day in the office or now virtually, but this is like our second family. It's important to have that thinking of what many of us may think as something very Latin is we talk, we eat together, we talk. Think about that in a similar vein with your team at the office. So having that respect, empathy, and the golden rule is something that I think carries very easily for many of us in maybe in the traditional Latin culture to the corporate life. Then I'll just mention one other item real quickly is this aspect of empathy and having English as a second language is also something that is something that, of course, outside of work and living in the United States, many of us had to learn English as a second language, or we know English and we have to speak Spanish to our relatives and our significant others. Think of that for others at Freddie Mac, that whether they're Latino, speak Spanish, or other languages, is have that empathy to say, hey, they are trying to do a job in a language that is not themselves. So whether they have an accent, whether maybe their writing is not as strong, but they bring other things to the table, have that empathy and bring that to the office, because of course some of us know how difficult it is to learn English as a second language. So I just wanted to mention those items.
Thank you, Andres. Good points. Empathy, English is a second language. Yeah, it is very difficult for us when we learn as an adult, right? Another language. Um, okay, now Rita, what can you share with us in this perspective?
Well, I think Andres stole my line because I was going to say the personal relationships, but I think it's common amongst all of us, right? I think when I think about my Latin identity is that sense of family, that sense of community, And I think throughout my life at Freddie Mac, I've been lucky to have teams that have been very close. And when I think about what I do on a regular basis and how I maintain my Latina personality is this, coming into a meeting or coming into a new team and trying to get that personal connection between people, right? And so I think throughout the teams, I really like to learn about the personal side of people. And I think corporate America is this, you come in, you're coming in to do a job. You're not coming in to make friends. But for me, it's different. I mean, we spend so much time in the office. I want to have friends. I want these people to, I want to know about, their kids, about their husbands, their wives, etc. Um, and then the other component is all those little things that we do as Latinos, right? And I remember growing up, didn't necessarily like to watch soccer. I didn't play soccer, but it's that little thing that reminds me of my dad watching soccer on a Sunday afternoon. And so now that I have two boys, they're playing soccer. And I remember, I don't know, maybe it was one of the first times that US was participating in a World Cup soccer tournament. And we got some folks together at I think it was building 1. No, it was 4. It was 4. And I remember going downstairs to the lobby with just a few people that, not too many people were watching soccer, but we asked the building operations people if we could put the soccer games on the screens. And that's how that started. If you remember a few years ago, there were groups, I mean, big groups of people going down to watch the soccer games. So it's just bringing that because not too many people even knew the World Cup soccer tournament was on. But it's sharing those little things that are from my personal history.
Personal
Rita,
culture.
so Rita, what's your favorite team now?
My favorite team. I'm going to be at this point. Well, my kids are into the Premier League, so that's all we watch. It used to be the English teams, but now I don't have a personal team, but that's what I watch, the Premier League.
Nice.
Thank you, Rita. So now let's move forward with Luis.
Awesome. Buenos dias a todos. Good morning, everybody. I have 3 tips that have helped me navigate that corporate life, and I feel still maintain, but also expand my Latin identity. Number 1 is creating meaningful relationships. So I think it echoes what Andres and Rita said. Creating meaningful relationships for me has meant really trying to understand what the other person is all about, right? At work, but also outside of work. And then through that, I've been able to let them know what is Latin identity mean to me, right? To Andres's point, it means so many different things. So by creating that meaningful relationship, I've been able to show my colleagues, my peers, and my leaders what I'm all about. Number 2 is something that I call teach and learn. So I always want to put myself in a position where I can teach something, but I also being super open to learning something new. So, and I don't mean only about work, but also about my culture. So when I teach something, it's hopefully something that helps my team grow, something that helps us move forward, but also about myself and my culture and where I come from and my roots. And I think that is not only about being Latin, but also about being an individual who has a history in life, right? So I don't think that's only for the Latin community. And the number 3 tip that has helped me, I would say, is to join groups that help me grow and that help other people grow. So this is a great example. HOLA has helped me see, a different dimension and growth. There are so many opportunities in the communities that we live in to join something that allows you to express who you are as an individual, but also bring that Latin aspect of your life. And then also, I think that has helped me navigate the corporate life, showing that I'm more than just Luis at work. I'm more than just Luis, the guy from Colombia. I'm somebody who teaches, who learns, somebody who is involved in groups that help others, and then somebody that likes to connect with people.
Great tips. Thank you, Luis. And you're so right. I mean, just sharing and learning from groups that interested you it's so important, right? So now, Andres, what can you tell us about how to navigate the corporate life and still maintain your Latin identity?
So yeah, so I already gave some points, but maybe Christian, do you want to give some thoughts on that as
Oh,
well?
Christian,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. No problem, Carolina. So first, thank you everyone for joining. Very happy to be with this great panel and have so many participants. I think we have over 90 participants on this event. So hopefully you all get something from these. And going back to what Luis was saying, being connected to people through groups. So for me, I think at least from my time at Freddie Mac, I've been here for 6 years. Really, HOLA has been a critical piece of kind of maintaining that Latin identity. Getting to know, and creating a network with individuals over these last 6 years, joining at the beginning, almost just when I joined HOLA is the same time I joined Freddie Mac. And from there, I've been able to grow with HOLA. Now as a chair, but initially just volunteering, then participating in different events, doing the first large event related to our luncheons with 150 people, and I was led by Carolina, so participated in that like probably 4 years ago, and it's been a great opportunity to just develop those relationships, not only with the Latin group, but also has helped me to create relationships across the corporation, but bringing that Latin culture and not being afraid to show that to others across the organization. So for me, it's been really all a way to share that at Freddie Mac.
So cheers to Ola. Thank you so much, Christian. If you are not a member of Ola, you know what to do. So next question. What was the one pivotal moment? It could be either a challenge or an opportunity in your life that took your career to the next level. So let's start with Rita on this one.
Yeah. So on the when I there's a funny story. So you all heard I've been here 20 years. So when I joined Freddie Mac, I was single. I didn't have kids. I had a red sporty car. And I can't believe it's been 20 years. But anyway, one opportunity when I was in college, I took this one finance class. That was the hardest class I'd ever took, right, in college, because it had a SAS component. I had to go, and this is when we didn't have computers at home. I had to go to the lab and run my SAS jobs there. So I learned this, and at the very bottom of my resume, I had some SAS experience or something like that. Well, that's what opened the doors for me at Freddie. And even today, we're so reliant on SAS, right? Because we manage so much data. So within Freddie, of course, I can probably think of many times when it was that pivotal moment. But when I think back in terms of where my life has my career, I think that opportunity to take that one class and give me that advantage, because that's what called the attention of the hiring manager at the time. And actually, the hiring manager that I had 20 years ago just retired. She took the burp, and we were talking about this, and she said, "Do you remember that at the interview, I asked you how many languages you knew or something like that?" So she meant computer languages at the time because I had this accent. I said, well, I speak Spanish, a little bit of Portuguese. But it's that opportunity, just taking those opportunities to learn.
Thank you, Rita. So important when we take that opportunity that really puts us to the next level. What about you, Andres?
I'll keep mine short, but I think it was really impactful for me. And by the way, if there's time later, I'm glad that Rita mentioned about the data on the career journey, but that's a different topic, but I think an important one. Coming back to this one about what was that pivotal moment for me was having the courage to leave a good team and a good situation to take a chance on a good career opportunity. So many of us may change jobs because you're not happy or it's not a good fit, and then you naturally look for something else. That's kind of pretty standard operating procedure, nothing that significant. But do you have the courage that if you're happy in one place and you're going to take a risk to go on a better opportunity somewhere else, right? Grass is not really like that cliche, right? To me, that was the one moment going from I was consulting at the time, and the Freddie opportunity came, and I thought that role was going to be a stretch for me. And even when I got it, I had a little bit of self doubt, saying, "Oh my goodness, I'm performing really well here. Can I do my job really well at Freddie?" I took the courage. I leveraged my not only research but leveraged the network. I talked to folks in Freddie, tried to get the culture, trying to get to see if I'm a fit. I did as much as I can, but it was still a risk. And my guest suggestion is there's probably, if you're lucky, you're going to have that opportunity that maybe you're ready for the next job, but the opportunity in your department or division is not there. There might become a time where you need to have also that courage to say, I'm going to try something new, even relocating or even talking to my family. I need to relocate, but that opportunity presents itself. And if the whole family buys in, especially in the Latino or minority culture where you want to get into leadership roles, we need to be thinking about those opportunities and have the courage to take them. So that's I think that was my moment.
But yeah, it couldn't be more clear. So to take that opportunity that actually challenge yourself, right? It's also so important. Okay, so over the years, I have attended numerous conferences and a lot of workshops about the importance of mentorship. How important has been a mentor or a sponsor in your life? And how can you describe your relationship with them? So, Christian, can you give us an advice on how to find a mentor?
Sorry, I'm trying
If
to mute
Christian is
myself.
not
Yeah, yeah,
there,
I'm
okay,
here.
okay, good.
So, I think I always actually think mentoring and sponsorship first, they're two different things. Let's start there before we move on to the mentor, how to get there. But the mentor is somebody that's going to help you and probably guide you and give you advice. The sponsorship is not, it's somebody that's going to probably take you kind of under their wing and help you grow. Okay? The mentor is somebody you can reach out to try to create these relationships. The sponsor is going to choose you, and they're going to choose you based on the experience they've had with you, that you've done probably good work with them. They know you maybe more professionally and maybe even personally, because they probably have they could give you a way to grow in your career very fast. For mentors, I think one of the key things, and I actually tell everyone in my team, that you should be looking to find at least one mentor. But the reality is that when you're looking for a mentor, you probably need to make a list of potential mentors. Who do you think you would want to give you advice? Is it somebody that is maybe in the type of job that you wanna do in the future? Somebody that can give you advice on what you're doing today, and look for people that are similar to you, maybe if you're looking for that role, but also look for people that are different than you. Maybe having 2 or 3 different mentors is probably best than having just one, because then you get different points of views. And like I said, these are people that are providing you advice. Nobody has the right answer. They're just trying to give you guidance. Not what worked for somebody else is necessarily going to work for you. So the more mentors you have, the more chances that you're going to get advice that will work for you. So I would say that's a key. I think I've had several mentors that one of the things that Andres was just saying, taking risks is important, and making sure that you are willing to take advantages of the opportunities that present to you, and being adaptable and flexible. So those are some of the advices that I've received from those type of mentors that I think are important. And the way that you start creating those mentorship relationships are probably grabbing a cup of coffee or grabbing a lunch, and then it will grow from there. You're not going to go to somebody and say, I want you to be my mentor. You probably want to go grab of coffee. Maybe you start developing and you go for a cup of coffee once every couple of weeks or once a month, and that develops into more of a mentorship type relationship. The sponsorship relationship can grow from a mentorship relationship,
Okay.
but it doesn't necessarily do, because they may not have the power to help you grow. A sponsor
Okay.
is going to be somebody that has power, but also has power in helping you grow in a way, either through maybe helping you get promoted, helping you move through the ranks, or putting a good word for you to get another job where they have, a some type of power or influence in making that happen.
Thank you, Christian. Those are great tips. And thank you for walking us through the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. What about you, Luis? How can you describe that relationship with your mentors?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that Christian said, and I think that that distinction is very important. And I've been in both boats, trying to find a mentor, but also needing to have the champion, right? That helps me walk through that corporate ladder. So I think that's key. So Carolina, you asked me at the big, or the question at the beginning was, how important has a mentor been to me? And it's been really crucial, to be honest. And the reason why is because they've done three things really for me. One, they've shown me what good looks like, and when I say good, I mean depending on the situation, but they show me like what a good behavior is, what a good communication style is, what a good follow up is, depending on what the situation is. Two, they show me empathy, right? They show me what that looks like in a leader, right? When I think about a mentor that is a leader. And then three, they show me that desire to never stop growing and having that growth mindset. I think my relationship with my mentor is based on those three things. How I got there was exactly how Christian said. I made a list of people that I thought were that I had some affinity with, either because of the type of work that I did or because of where I want to go in the future. And then there was a third column, which was these people are very different. Maybe there is something interesting that I can learn from them. And then I just started kind of reaching out. What I think was key was for me to understand, why would these people want to spend 30 minutes with me, right? Like how would I approach them? How can I say, this is a great example. Like I probably will go to Andres and Christian after this and say, hey, can we grab a cup of coffee? They are leaders in our organization. I want to get to know them. And I think they're because of this interaction, they're probably going to be more, more, they're going to do it, right? And they're going to say, sure,
Open.
Luis, we'll do it. And we'll even buy you the coffee and lunch and dinner. No, Christian? No? Yeah? Okay. See, I already got two mentors that are going to buy dinner for me. Okay. No, but the point is, I think in my experience, what I always try to do was, what can I bring to this individual that is also valuable to them, right? How can I bring them a different perspective on something that they're working in? So just to give you a clear example, I remember when I went and kind of like started creating my relationship with my mentor. I know that she was very into data analytics and how data analytics was impacting organizational development in technology organizations. So that was interesting to me, and I was lucky that that was interesting. So I kind of found a good article, something that I thought was cool, and I forwarded it to her. And I said, hey, here's a summary in case you haven't seen it, and I think this is why you would be interested. And she replied within 5 minutes saying, oh my God, I had read it and I thought something similar. This is great. Let's grab that cup of coffee. I didn't have to do anything. It was more, it looked like it was hair, but obviously I was prompting that. So there has to be, in my opinion, a level of interest on both sides, right? To Christian's point, nobody goes out there and says, hey, do you want to be a mentor? Um, I think you have to do your research and have to understand how can you add value as well to that relationship.
Awesome tips. Thank you. Yeah, it's something that you actually have to develop, right? It doesn't come that, quick and asking for a mentor to be your mentor. So great tips. Thank you. So now I just want 3 to 5 key factors. And this is a question for Christian and Andres. So what are those 3 to 5 key factors that have allowed you to get to your position where you are right now that are aside from competence and dedication? Let's start with the Andres.
Well, good. So one of them was sponsored, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I just reiterate that's important. And again, when you have relationships and you build that network, you don't have a sponsor for that purpose, but you never know when you're going to need it. So that's as much as I'll mention to that. The other aspects for me was passion in loving what you do. That is what I think sets you aside from just competence, and it's related to dedication, but you could be dedicated to a job you hate. You could be dedicated to a job you love, and it's not really a job. It becomes something that is just ingrained with you. So when you're competing, not that you do this to compete, but then when you're competing for others for that next promotion, it's almost impossible for that person that doesn't have that passion to really compete with you because you live and breathe, you believe in the mission, you believe in what the department is doing. So you find that job where keep looking until you find that excellent fit that best fits you and the company. Then that's one aspect, and then find the job that grows. I know that also Luis was mentioning about growing, learning, and teaching, etc. You don't want to have a job that's stagnant. So if you have the passion and it's a job that allows you to grow, that is, I think, what's going to allow you to really succeed, because you put those together, you'll have a long tenure.
That's right. Thank you, Andres. And you mentioned a key word that I love, and it represents who I am, and that's passion. What about you, Christian?
Yep. So I think I would say the same thing about the sponsor being critical, getting at least to this level. But one of the key things I think, in my opinion, is just being, change is constant. So you being flexible and being willing to adapt and change is one of the key measures that will help you grow and will be there. You have to kind of be available to make that change, willing to make that change, and beyond that, once you make the change and take some of the risks which in my opinion, like I took a risk to go to Ecuador and move my whole family there, and then we actually took the risk to come back to the US because I was in a great position there, but decided in the long term it wasn't the best option. So took my family there, brought them in without really thinking that I would ever come back to the US at a specific time. Then came back here, and that option to go there, where I was able to really be in the C-suite in Ecuador, gave me the opportunity to really learn to have those relationships with the executives here and not be afraid to be in that room with them. Like I don't like that is something that a lot of people, I feel like, you can't learn it, you have to experience it. And that experience over there helped me to get to where I am today.
Thank you, Christian. That's so important. Sometimes we are just so afraid, as you mentioned, to take that challenge to move to another country. It was your country still, but your children were not used to living there. So it took a lot from you to do that. Wow. Okay, so we are going to take some questions from the participants. So I'm going to ask 1 or 2 more. Feel free to start typing those questions so we're ready for the Q&A session. So let's move to the promotion conversation. So Rita, how did you approach that promotion conversation with your manager? Can you give us, some tips about how to talk to your manager about that topic?
Sure. Yeah. And I think asking for a promotion is one of those things that ranks high in um, almost everybody's anxiety level, right? It's this thing of putting yourself out there um, to your manager or whoever it might be, and having that discussion. And competing can be sometimes, especially depending on where you are. But if you are in an organization like Freddie, I think your competition sometimes can be fierce, right? And so, but this is one of the most important things I think we can do to help our careers, to put yourself out there. If you want to move forward, you have to have that conversation. So um, what I do know is you have to plan it, right? So plan the conversation. Use the established annual or mid-year reviews to start that conversation. So you don't do it, if you want to get promoted next year, you have to start now. And so you have those conversations with your manager, build up to it. Do your homework, right? And make yourself a powerful case. So what I've learned to do is to sort of keep a log of those successes that you can come to the table with and say, these are very objective items I can point to, and this is why I think I'm ready for my next promotion or next opportunity.
Great tips. Thank you, Rita. So, Luis, now let's switch it to the other side of the coin. What are the things that you look for in a candidate that you will promote?
Yeah, so I would say something that I've always lived by, and I think it comes from the time I spent in consulting. I was at Ernst and Young for a while doing a lot of transformations, and something that a manager very early on in my career said was, um, you need to be performing at the next level, right? In order to be promoted for that, right? So you can't just say, oh, I think I'm ready for the next level, so please promote me. You gotta be already performing at that level. So then it's a natural transition, right? There's no question as to why you should actually be moving up. So I think that is key to keep in mind. It's helped me a lot, right? So how do you do that? I think, and how do I see that in the people that I work with and those that I look to hopefully promote is I set that expectation up front. So I have a conversation. I say, hey, let's look at your competencies. Let's look at the role that you have, roles and responsibilities. What does it look like to be actually going above and beyond this? Like, let's get tactical. So I draw that plan with them and think about what does that look like. So when you get there, it's a natural progression, right? There shouldn't be like I don't know, maybe you are good enough, maybe not. It's a plan that we together crafted so you can go there. Two things that I look for in those individuals that I think get promoted and do it fairly soon are the ability to grow by handling ambiguity and handling competing priorities. If you are able to handle responsibilities that include little direction, I think you're going to do very well. And I think those are the people that just really skyrocket. And the second one is having a relentless desire to grow and have a growth mindset, right? When I think about, and I'll do a shout out here, I think about Elijah. He's in my team in Modern Delivery. He is somebody that wants to constantly learn, wants to constantly understand what can he do better, but also how can he grow his tool of skills. How can he be more dangerous when we think about our projects and the rollouts that we have? And I think that is something that you can't teach, right? Like you are either driven or you're not. And I think those driven people that have that growth mindset, that are able to manage ambiguity, that are able to manage competing priorities and not get themselves overwhelmed are great candidates to then move to the next level. You pair that up with the fact that you create a plan with them and understand that being at the next level mean performing there. I think to me is the natural equation to say, yeah, no brainer. And it's happened to me in my role where it was a no brainer where, a VP above me said, hey, Luis, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't we promote that person? Like, this is what's happened. This is what they've done. This is the plan that we had. Go for it, as opposed to trying to sell that promotion.
It says, how do you keep continued passion in what you do? I have known you for a long time and you have always been passionate about what you do. Also, are you equally passionate about all projects?
Interesting. I'm curious who that is, but it could remain anonymous. Don't mention that. But
Okay.
So it's almost like saying, why does my dad love soccer so much? I just don't know, right? It's just something that they just are born with. But the piece is that it took me a long time to find out what that was. So I'll just give an example, not to talk about my case, but maybe many of you may be going through this to say, oh my goodness, how can I be passionate about something? Is I started in studying Japanese and I was like, no, I'm never really going to use it, etc. And I ended up all the way going into math and statistics. That was a very long journey. And my point is that to find that passion can take you a long time, multiple jobs, talk to mentors and sponsors. But until you find that area, was like, oh my goodness, I found a job where what drives me is variety. I don't like the same job over and over. So auditing, I didn't know about auditing. It turns out that I get to audit many areas and meet a lot of people. I like to meet a lot of people and I like to learn, right? The piece that Luis was saying, I have a job that teaches me and I'm having to study and learn in an area that I love. That is what drove me. So identify those characteristics as if you like variety or you like to be a subject matter expert, then if that's what drives you, go find that. So get those 2 or 3 characteristics, find what that is, and then work with your network to try to find that job.
We are going to wrap it up with this last question. You all have shared your professional journeys. You have provided great advice and tips. You have mentioned keywords like being empathetic, getting to know your team, being passionate, being aware of those cultures and diversity that we have at Freddie. But now let's discuss the gap between the executive positions. There is a big gap between the number of Hispanics in higher positions and executive representation. So, how do we address equality in the workplace? How can we increase those minorities in executive positions? So, whoever wants to start, please.
I think one of the areas that and I'm just going to start first from the beginning. In order to, it's not just at the high level where we have that underrepresentation. At Freddie Mac, we have the underrepresentation across the company. So in order to get there, we probably have to start making sure that we try to hire, Latinos, Hispanics at the analyst level, and then help that group grow. We're not going to be able to just, move from where we are today in a year and have that higher representation. So that's one of the areas, and I'll tell you, HOLA, this year specifically, it's one of our key things that we're looking at. Developing that attract pillar. And I'll put a shout out there for, our attract leads that have been doing a great job of reaching out to universities, different groups to make sure that we start there. Now, I think I'd say it's on a little bit on the people that now have gotten to the leadership roles. So probably Andres, myself, and others that are there to try to pull the rest up. Okay, so that's now some of it's on us, but we are doing the things that we can do now, and it's gonna take time. It's not something that is just gonna happen overnight, but we are trying to move in that direction.
Can I add
Thank you,
something,
Christian.
Christian? So I think you said something that really resonated with me, right? In terms of the executive level. You have to live it, you have to experience it in order to be able to know how to navigate and talk to the the executive level. Because I think because we don't have a wide representation, it's who pulls us up. So that's the question, right? And so how do I get that opportunity in terms of I think that's always been my question is if we don't have that representation up on top, it's harder to get those people to live or experience or to have those to feel comfortable in that space.
Thank you, Rita. Luis.
It's a good question, right? I think I've been kind of fortunate to see a lot of organizations, and maybe I can share just some of the things that I've seen. Uh, and I think it's everything that Christian said, what Rita said, agreed. I think something that we can control. I think about like what can I control, right? From where I sit, whether I'm a leader or a professional, senior, whatever. And I think that is everything that we talked about today, and creating the case for what I'm doing, documenting those things that I'm doing, and knowing my worth, right? I think sometimes, and I definitely speak for myself, when I got to this country, and I still have it, to be honest, subconsciously, I think I need to work harder than everybody else because I have an accent, because I'm not from here, because there's something that I have a chip on my shoulder. I mean, that's really honestly how I feel. And I think sometimes we just need to move past that, right? And say, hey, that's who we are, that's who I am, and that's not going to stop me. I'm going to continue to work, and I'm going to show my leaders what I'm here for, and really shoot for those positions. Why couldn't I be a VP? I see Andres, I see Christian, why not, right? So like the why not is where things start. And I think what I can control and what we can control is continue to bring these conversations up. I encourage 73 or 80 people that are on the call, whether you are Hispanic, Latino, or not, join a group that helps with these conversations around representation, right, of minorities in the workplace, because this is how we can make the noise to the David level that hears, oh man, these 90 people talking about this, like what came out of that? Like, that's interesting. Like, who's leading this? Who's doing what? And I think that's how you get the visibility too.
Thank you, Luis. And last, because we only have a minute, Andres, what
Right,
can
so
you tell us?
yeah, this is a tough question, and I want to put aside if you are in a group that is biased or on race, that's a different problem, and that we can't, to what Luis was saying, you can't control, you can only control what you can control, right? But putting aside that, let's say that you are in a work family, you build that network and that relationship where everybody then is seen as an equal opportunity. They know you, they trust you, you influence the room, you communicate well, you're very trustworthy. Then hopefully by then the language, the skin color, that is not, that doesn't, fortunately for me at that point, that has not occurred. It's just about now the delivery and the strategic vision that you are you aligned with your boss on that strategic vision? And if you are, then you should be delivering, and the promotions will come naturally. But that's a lot of ifs. If people don't have these biases or even subconscious biases. So I don't want to talk about that, but I want to talk more about assuming that equal. Now at that point, your skin color, you don't look at those things anymore. You're just talking about, or you don't even think about them. You just think about, this is how that particular individual is contributing and adding value to the organization. That person is ready for an executive role. I think that's the culture at Freddie Mac, is that are they ready? And that is what's important. And that's why I do believe in Jackie's message about inclusion and diversity. It's an important message because you want to get rid of those obstacles and really just so people can focus on that executive presence and delivering that value.
Thank you so much, Andres. Thank you so much, Luis, Rita, Christian. This conversation was wonderful. I hope, Elijah, we are recording this because everybody in the company in Freddie Mac needs to see and watch this great conversation that we had today. I thank you, all the 4 panelists. I thank you, Elijah, for your technical support, Nancy for helping us from Dallas, Texas, and don't miss all the Hispanic Heritage Month activities that we have put together for you. We have workouts, we have yoga, we have on September 23rd, we have Patti Arbielo at 1 p.m. that day. So don't miss it. Thank you very much. And Feliz Mes de la Herencia Hispana. Thank you so much.